Hello, welcome to my channel if you're new here, and welcome back if you're coming back. I appreciate you for clicking on my video and being intrigued enough to want to watch and listen. So as you saw from the title, this video podcast topic is going to be about a damaged friendship. If you watched my previous video, which was about cheating and how I cheated in my previous relationship, thank you, first of all. And also, it kind of helps to have some of that context a little bit because the experience I'm about to share is within the same timeline as my cheating. So if you want to know a little bit more about that, go check it out. If I figure it out, I'll probably post it, link it in this video in the corner if I figure it out. If I don't, I'll put the link in the description. First off, I do want to say that this topic might be a bit harder for me to share, and although it is within the same timeline as my cheating, which is like 2017, it is towards my exes. In my video, I named him Zach, and in the friendship I'm about to share is actually with Zach's brother, Tan. Anyway, Tan is Zach's twin brother. And one of the reasons why I feel that this experience might be a little bit harder for me to share is because whenever I cheated, I was completely and explicitly aware of what I was doing, and I knew it was wrong, and I was aware of everything that was going on. I wasn't aware of my inner turbulence that I was experiencing, but I was aware of the decisions I was making to be extremely harmful, extremely damaging, and just overall not good. And so I felt that after it had happened, I wouldn't say it was easier for me to forgive myself. It was more like I was quicker to openly admit to it and then not take too long to realize and admit to it and not necessarily repent, but turn over a new leaf from that kind of decision and that kind of action, and just be better from at least the overall cheating aspect. This friendship broke mostly on my part, and unfortunately, throughout doing all these things and saying all these things, I wasn't completely aware of the damage that I am creating until it's too late, if that makes sense. So 2017, right around after I had cheated on my previous partner, and I had already explained in the previous video that during that time I was going through a lot of self-destruction. I beforehand, even months before the cheating and everything, I was already progressively experiencing a lot of insecurities, and I was already expressing them, all of it, in a very, very unhealthy way. Now, Tan and Zach, I lived with them and their family for about 2.5 years because they took me in because I got kicked out of my house. And so they took me in for a while, and they were really good to me. They were all very kind and considerate, and no one's perfect, of course. There were flaws here and there, but again, that happens. Near the end, before I moved out, things definitely started getting rocky and kind of falling apart, and I do believe that I was one of the bigger factors into leading to that bumpy road, because of how unhealthily I was expressing and dealing with all of my emotions that I just did not want to confront. Regulating my emotions was not a skill I had yet. And this was around when I was 20, 21. Long story short, around right before we broke up, me and Zach broke up, me and Tan's friendship was already deteriorating because of my very unhealthily expressions of my insecurities and such. And so I was already slowly becoming very, very bitter towards Tan, and I was being kind of cruel and very distant and very avoidant towards Tan. He didn't do anything wrong. I just was looking at everything in life and him and every like decision he makes. And for whatever reason, I was struggling with my inner controlling quality that I unfortunately had during that time. And I didn't want to confront it. I didn't want to like recognize that that was something that I was struggling with. And unfortunately gained through, you know, growing up with my parents and family. That was like just that power struggle of my parents constantly wanting to be very controlling. And then, you know, also very insecure people. So therefore I also became a very insecure and wanting to be a very controlling person. And I just never took the time to like confront that and heal from it and, you know, work on it. That was just not something I did. And it really sucks. So whenever our friendship was already deteriorating, Tan around this time he was talking to a girl for like a moment, and then they like stopped talking. I didn't know any like information on this. I just knew he was talking to a girl, and then they like stopped, and then he was like started talking to a different girl. I don't know like the time frame. I just generally that's like what happened. And the other girl that he had stopped talking to, apparently, I guess like, you know, the dating and interacting just didn't go well, and they just weren't connecting, and you know that happens. And later on, you know, again, I was a very nosy, I was a very immature individual during this time, and already my relationship with Zach at the time was also kind of deteriorating and wasn't going very well. So my relationship with Tan was also deteriorating. So we weren't really talking, and we weren't as close as we used to be. And it really sucks because beforehand, the first couple of years, there was a lot of, you know, good times. And I look back at it, and it breaks my heart still to this day, because it's like I really ruined, I feel, a potentially good friendship. It is what it is. I got to learn from these life experiences and mistakes. So whenever Tan and that one girl did, you know, stop talking, he started talking to a different girl. That girl, the first girl, I saw her on Instagram. I kind of like was stalking around, and I accidentally liked one of her photos. I was like, oh, whoops. Later on, she messages me, and she's, you know, she was like, I see that you're lurking. And I was like, yeah, I am. And so she knew me she knew of me because I did, again, I was living with Tan and Zach for a good bit. So she's like kind of saw me around, and she messaged me. She was talking to me about Tan. And, you know, she was saying how she was really sad. She really, really liked him, and like her feelings for him were growing stronger and stronger. And she's just so heartbroken. She liked him so much. She wanted them to work out. Again, for context, during this time, I was experiencing a lot of bitterness towards Tan for no good reason. And I was just very insecure, and I was very selfish, and I was very closed-minded. And not all of a sudden, but like just during that time, I just was. When she was telling me all this stuff, I went ahead and started messaging her things to help her like get over Tan. I started sharing, you know, like, oh, you know, forget about him. He's not worth it. And, you know, I can't believe what he did to you and just like dropped you like that. Like, that's so not cool of him. I started being so like the way I was just going about talking to her about trying to get over Tan. I was saying things like, oh my gosh, no, trust me. I live with him. He is terrible. Trust me. You know, oh my God, no, he's such an asshole. And he's a terrible person. He's not worth it. All of these things I just kept saying, and I just kept belittling and degrading him and just insulting him and disrespecting him to this girl that I barely knew. And I knew Tan much longer. I have a box of tissues next to me because I feel like I might cry because I'm reliving my actions that I consciously made to do. And I know my intentions were to help her get over Tan. You know, she was like, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you for being so supportive and trying to help me get over him. And, you know, she was like, oh, you're so right. Yeah, I should get over him, you know, shit like that. And I was like, yeah, you deserve better. You know, he's not worth it. All this other stuff. Like, I was going hard on shitting on Tan. And that was like the last time we talked. Me and the girl. And I just completely forgot all about what I said about Tan to that girl. And then, you know, me and Zach broke up and my life kind of went on, and I went through my self-destructive phase of my life. And then at some point afterwards, in like around 2018, me and Zach started reconnecting before I started dating Alex. And we started reconnecting, and we didn't really talk about getting back together or anything. We wanted to, but like, you know, there was a lot of conflict from my bad choices, which is fair. And we just started reconnecting, and, you know, things happened in my life that were very traumatic and just very harmful to me. And I finally went down a road where, you know, I decided, you know, okay, I'm done. I'm done being this person. I started to really confront like my insecurities, my toxic tendencies during that time. And I was deciding, no, I want to work on myself. I want to be better. And then one day, as me and Zach, you know, we were connecting, we were talking still, we were keeping up, and we would see each other here and there. He messaged me and he said, hey, so someone, or that girl that I had talked to about Tan, she sent screenshots to Tan of the things that I said to her about him so that she could get over him. And then Zach stopped messaging me. And I literally, like, I forgot what I had said about Tan. And so I went to go look at those messages because I was like thinking in my head, well, what did I say again? And that was like months ago. And so I went to go reread them. Now remember, I'm in a headspace where I'm like, I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to work on myself. I want to be better and do a lot of self-growth. And when I went back to look at these messages and I was rereading it over again, felt like someone with like really sharp claws take like a chunk of my heart and then just squeeze it. And as I was reading over these messages again, I was rereading all of the extremely negative and harmful things that I was sharing to this stranger about this person that I had a lot of history and experience with, and who was majority of the time really good and kind to me and was a really good friend. And then, you know, progressively I started outwardly expressing just very negative things towards this person who didn't deserve it. And so when I read everything that I said about him to her, I lost it. I was not proud of myself whatsoever. And I remember reading it over again, and not too long afterwards, I started panicking so hard. I was screaming and shouting and crying my eyes out. I remember my mom coming into my room just like, oh my God, honey, what is wrong? And she just came in, just holding me and comforting me while I like cried my eyes out. And even my brother later on was just like, Ate, are you okay? And I didn't tell them what happened. I just freaked out because I was getting hit in the face with the damage I have done, the harm that I have created. And it was just so heartbreaking to see what my actions had led to. And I immediately after I read those messages, I immediately tried so hard to reach back out to like Zach and Tan, and I wanted to meet up face to face so that I could properly apologize to them. But they had officially started ghosting me. And not necessarily blocking me on everything, but they just stopped talking to me and they just dropped me. Right as they did that, you know, I was in this like panic circle afterwards, being just punched in the gut, hit in the face with my consequences and the harm that I did. And now I'm just here. I was just in this cloud of like, look at what you did. Now deal with it. And all the while you're dealing with it, all the while, you know, like, you can't say sorry to these people. They don't want to talk to you. And so that took a while. That hurt so bad. And I understand, you know, them not wanting to talk to me because, you know, I was very harmful. I did a lot of harmful things and said a lot of harmful things. And again, I can't take him back. I did all of that. I wish I could take it back, but I can't. And so for like a year or two after starting to date Alex, and, you know, I told him of my experiences and what I'm healing from, after like for a year or so, I started having the same dream over and over again. And my dreams were the exact same scenario every time. My dream was I come across Zach and Tan, and I keep thinking that these dreams are real, and I'd see them and I would just get on my knees and I am just crying and I am just saying, I am so sorry. And every time I would wake up, every time to reality that I can't do that. And I constantly thought to myself, I mean, it took me a really long time to forgive myself for all of that, to give myself closure, because I constantly felt that I needed to get closure from them. I needed to face them. Like, I'm just going to wait until they can finally talk to me, until I can get closure and start healing for real. And so again, these dreams went on for like a year and a half. And one of the dreams specifically, I had met with Tan and Zach again, and I thought to them, and I said to them, please slap me or pinch me or something, because I think I might be dreaming again. I got to the point where, like, when I was dreaming it, I was like, is this another dream? I had begged them, like, hit me, punch me or something, because I think it's a dream. And one of them did, or I like hit myself, and it felt real in this dream. And I just was talking to Tan, telling him, listen, I've been wanting to talk to you, and I just wanted to say how sorry I am. What I did was so fucked up and so uncalled for, and so, I can't even explain in words how messed up it was, because he didn't deserve it at all. And I regret it, you know, and he doesn't have to forgive me, you know, in these dreams, I'm like, you don't have to forgive me. I just want you to know how sorry I am. And that's it. That's all I wanted. And I wake up and it's life, and I just start crying because, again, it was a dream. That was probably one of my most, like, traumatic realizations in becoming self-aware of myself, of my actions, of my being, of my mind, of my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, and how I went about them. I just want to reiterate this once more. I'm probably going to say it at every video, but mental illness or negative feelings is not an excuse for bad behavior, and it's not an excuse for harmful decisions. We have to take accountability for our actions and our choices. So me saying what I said, even though I was in a very negative headspace, was not an excuse to justify doing what I did. But finally, you know, one day, and I was talking about this to my sister, Janelle, and, you know, I was telling her I just really want to get closure from them. And she told me, you know, you have to face the reality that you'll probably never, like, what if you never see them ever, you know? And she said, I know it's hard to realize this, but you're going to have to be the one to give yourself closure. And that was like the moment I realized, you're right. Realistically, I don't think we'll ever see each other again. So it took a while, but I did start healing from it, and I have forgiven myself, but that doesn't mean I'm going to forget about it whatsoever. And actually, right after all that happened, right after I had noticed what I had messaged and, had that entire panic attack, I immediately went back to message that girl. And I was just like, the first thing I thought of what I wanted to do, other than meet up with the guys and apologize to them, was I wanted to meet up with her. And so I said, hey, would you be interested in like meeting up and hanging out? I wanted to like talk to you about something. And so she was a little like, I think anxious by it, but she was like, yeah, sure. And so we planned a day. We met up in like downtown Austin, and we kind of talked for a little bit. She told me about her life. I was telling her about mine. And finally, at the end of the day, I talked to her and was like telling her what happened. And she was like, oh, no, I asked her, you wouldn't happen to have sent screenshots to Tan during that time, did you? Because apparently someone did. And yeah, and so, they don't really talk to me anymore. And she said, oh my gosh, no, I didn't do that, but that sucks. I'm so sorry. And regardless of whether or not she lied or whether or not she did it, it doesn't matter. My ultimate goal was to meet up with her, and I apologized to her for saying what I said about Tan. I told her, listen, I want to apologize to you for what I said about Tan, because the way I went about it was so wrong. I understand that, you were hurt by him and you liked him a lot and etc. and you wanted to get over him, but the way I did it wasn't right. And I just want to apologize to you for painting such a terrible picture of someone that I was such good friends with. He didn't deserve that, and I messed up, and I shouldn't have done that. I should have helped you in a much better way. There was a different way of going about it, and the way I went about it was wrong, and I'm just so sorry that that's the way I chose to help you. And she, took my apology. She's like, yeah, no, I appreciate you apologizing, it's fine and all this. And it's like, it's not fine. What I said was not fine. But yeah, I just, at the end of the day, I said, that's all I wanted to say is that I'm sorry, and please don't take whatever I said. I don't believe in any of the things that I said about Tan anymore. I might have believed them the moment I said them, but right now, like, those aren't true to me, and it was messed up of me to say everything I said, so. But anyway, so we left and went our separate ways, and then I never spoke to her again. Almost like 5 years later, and here I am, and now I'm sharing that story with you. So thank you so much for listening. That was really hard. That was really hard, but I am trying and working hard every day, and that is the base of me becoming a better person, is learning from those mistakes and how harmful they were. That path and journey to becoming the best version of myself I know I can be. The best version of myself is someone who wouldn't do that anymore. Is someone that when I'm feeling those negative emotions inside me, internalize, to catch it, to be self-aware of it, and then healthily express them so that way I can be better. And because I'm doing it, I know you can too. Everyone's different. Their healing and timing is different, but it's possible. It's not too late. Be kind and gentle with yourself and your emotions, and baby steps to get there, but we can all do it. And what I did was really messed up. It was that wasn't a good friend of me to do. That was a terrible friend of me to do. And I sincerely regret it. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my second video. If you did stay and watch this entire thing, or listen to this entire thing, I appreciate you. I appreciate the effort you put to work on yourself every day, or even every other day. Whatever you're trying to do, progress is progress. So thank you again. And I hope to see you in the next video. Be kind to yourself, because you deserve it. You really do. All right. Bye.